exactly are the Google engineers saying in this report?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because Google has this group of engineers. They're essentially, white hat hackers. So, hackers for good that try to find vulnerabilities in Google software and also software made by other tech companies and warn those companies about them and then eventually release that information to the public so that everyone can try to, fix the software and make sure that malicious actors don't take advantage of it. And what happened here is Google found what it says is a problem in this specific kind of tool that Apple released a couple years ago. And the very purpose of that tool is to block tracking for advertisers to track you when you're using Safari browser. But it turns out that the specific way that that tool works actually makes it possible for hackers, if they wanted to, and there's no known cases of this actually happening yet, but if those hackers wanted to and figured this out themselves, they could track you themselves using the anti-tracking tool.
What is Apple saying? Because the first time this was brought to their attention, they thanked Google, said they fixed the problem. So now what are they saying?
Yeah, it's sort of evolved into a bit of a fight between the companies because Google, told Apple about this last year. They did it quietly. They didn't release it to the public to give Apple time to deal with it. Apple said that they went and did that. They put out this kind of cryptic blog post in December saying that they fixed some problems, didn't exactly detail it, and thanked Google in that. And then yesterday, when this finally was released to the public, some Google engineers on Twitter said that, Apple actually didn't solve all the problems. They only kind of papered over a few of them. Apple hasn't really directly responded to that yet, so it's still kind of a mystery exactly whether this is now something that's out there that hackers who maybe hadn't known about it before can now potentially take advantage, or if Apple has really fixed all the problems.
So, Gerrit, explain this to me. If the two web browsers are competitors, is Google trying to help Apple point out the flaws? What's the purpose of this?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of how these kind of, Google hackers work is they don't necessarily get told by Google executives, go out and make our competitors look bad or, embarrass them by pointing out their flaws. I mean, you can say on the one hand it's embarrassing, but on the other hand, it's useful down the road eventually for Apple to know about it. It's better to be embarrassed in the short term by a competitor than to have a hacker or, a foreign nation state take advantage of this and cause you much, much bigger problems. And so the way that this Google team works, to my understanding, is that they kind of choose the problems that they're most interested in, what they think is biggest, and they go after it. And sometimes that happens to be an internal Google software that makes them, helps them figure that out and maybe embarrasses them a little bit, or it's a competitor.
And Gerrit, another interesting segment in all of this is that Google last week decided to block cookies. Originally they hadn't, and Apple was really seen as more of a leader here when it came to the privacy issues. How does this now put them, as we take a look at maybe the horse race between the two when it comes to cookies and web browsers?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the irony of the situation, which is that Apple's Safari browser was seen, not just by Apple, but by privacy advocates as being much better for consumers who are concerned about their privacy because it actively goes and tries to stop advertisers from tracking you and retargeting you with ads. Whereas Google's worldview has been more that, targeted ads are good because they help keep the web open, free, accessible. They sort of acquiesced last week to say eventually we will get rid of cookies, which are the most popular way of tracking people around the web. And now it looks as if this Apple tool that in the very first place was supposed to stop tracking actually could facilitate it.